beginner real estate developer is going to see one asset class. A seasoned developer, what I have found, is going to see multiple different asset classes. And the goal, what you want to do, especially if you're a beginner, your goal is actually to get with somebody who's seasoned. But a seasoned developer is going to figure out there's got to be multiple different asset classes that we could probably have different exit plans as well. For example, on one piece of property that, even this property that I'm on right now, we're working on 108 unit development. So that 108 unit development, if I wanted to, it could have been 96 units garden style apartments. Now, the reason why I didn't do the 96 units garden style apartments, the main reason why is we had a contract with a affordable housing developer and for 2 years, and they could not get the funding for the affordable housing development, which is garden style apartments. Also, garden style apartments usually is a 2x to 3x when it comes down to cost, because it's a different code. It's commercial code versus residential code. So if you have a tenant in place and if you already have a great exit strategy and you understand that commercial side of development, hey, do you, boo-boo? You got this, right? For myself as a real estate developer, now we are taking on this project. So I need to make sure we can do an asset class that is actually in my wheelhouse. And that is, duplexes or single family. Duplexes make way more sense. So now we're going on a residential code and we're going to be doing the duplex route. And that's called a minor modification mod that we're doing on the zoning to get this approved as quickly as possible. And so we're doing what they call single family attached. Single family attached is basically a different way of saying duplexes, but it's a different zoning. Every municipality is a little bit different. Also, if you don't know who I am, my name is Franklin Cruz. I'm a real estate developer. I've got a ton of different projects. One of the projects I did was from 1 house to 41 houses on 9 acres. And then I sold it to KB Homes for $1.25 million. And then they turned around and named the street after me, Cruz Court. Super cool. You can look it up. 7187 Cruz Court was the first house built in Lakeland, Florida. Going back. So when you have different asset classes, you have different options of different exits. So you may have a 13 acre parcel that we're working on. Well, potentially that could be a gas station. Potentially that could be a light industrial for the neighbor, which is Storage King on this site that we're actually working on. Potentially, probably it could be residential because technically it's a residential zoning. There's different asset classes have different exit strategies. But what you want to do is if it checks all the boxes that you're already going through. That means you already know the zoning. It does have wetlands. It have, you've already went through your proper due diligence. And your asset class typically is going to be what is your best exit strategy that's going to create the highest profitability at the least amount of friction. What I mean by that is I know if I've got let's say another 9 acre parcel. I know on 9 acres, a 50 by 100 lot, I could fit 41 houses. I already know if it's in a good location. I already know DR Horton, KB Homes, MI Homes, Kohav Homes, Southern Homes, private builders. All of them will pay anywhere from what they call shovel-ready lots. That means I did all the approvals and entitlements to get it shovel-ready. So the shovel-ready lots I could sell those anywhere from, let's say $25,000 to $35,000 a lot. Potentially. It all matters, impact fees and all these other items that matter. But I'm saying is that's a realistic potential number, right? As long as there's no wetlands and all the studies, basically all the studies pan out. So with that being said, your goal is to say, okay, what if the residential works? Can I do multifamily? And to remember, in multifamily zonings, there's different types of zonings. There's low density residential, which is single family. It's typical single family residential. Medium density, which is typically townhouses. High density, which is typically garden style apartments, like just multifamily, high density. And then there's light industrial, heavy industrial, right? And then there's also for example, there is high traffic commercial, which is typically like gas stations or service centers as well. So you have all these different asset classes. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything as well. And so you can also have a business park, which has multiple different asset classes within one structure, within one within one area. For example, we have 130 acres that we're working on. We're working on different zonings for those asset classes, for that particular business park. So you could have high density residential on the top, business park in the middle, light industrial on the bottom. And that's called a business park. In a residential, you could have a master plan community, and that could be single family on top. You could have townhouses in another location, and you could have garden style apartments all within the exact same community. That's usually called, if it's 100 units or more, that's typically called a master community. Hopefully this really helps in a short video. I just kind of want to just think outside the box whenever you're working on a site. Is like there's different type of exit strategies. Your goal is to say, what's the least amount of friction that I can have and for the maximum profitability, period. But you do have to put in the work. My recommendation is you could do the work yourself, but you probably are going to learn some hard and expensive lessons. Nothing wrong with that. Some people like having that college education and development that way. Or you can basically bring on a quarterback. What I call it is almost like a quarterback or a seasoned developer. Typically, to bring on a seasoned developer, it's not just going to be an hourly rate because they're busy as well. It's going to be a percentage of the deal. It's going to be some kind of, for example, whenever I come on board, there's going to be anywhere from an upfront fee, right? And then there's a percentage of the deal that we negotiate. And then when I actually have a PSA, that means I'm selling the parcel for maximum profitability, there's usually another bonus as well. So for me, it's always earning the revenue because I created it from nothing. So I usually come in, I even negotiate the land, figure out exactly what asset class, and then I'm starting to make calls to the connections that I have in this industry to make sure we can move that project forward. That's in my world. You could do something similar if you want, or you connect with somebody that can. And remember, a seasoned developer we are not real estate brokers. We look at things very differently. We're not commercial agents either. We look at things very differently because we're in the business. So I'm looking at it from the view of who's going to purchase it rather than, hey, I'm just trying to shoot it out there and see what can happen, if that makes sense. So if you get something out of this, I'd love to know what is your view on this. I do these videos more for kind of tracking my progress, and I think it will be really cool when I get older to see these videos. And also for the younger generation of developers, young developers, doesn't matter if you're young or old, it matters when you get into it, that hopefully this gives you more insight. And probably even if you're a seasoned developer, probably it's just something that you didn't even think about that probably you could add to your development to create higher profitability for yourself, your family, and your company. All right, my name is Franklin Cruz. I'll talk to you later. Bye.